What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the FearlessAF Podcast. I am so excited to have you guys here, not only because this is the first episode of the Fearless Podcast that we are videoing. I have two of my very best friends here from very different walks of life to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media. Honestly, social media has become one of the most amazing tools for us to have as individuals, as brands, businesses, and just as personal, I don't want to say personal development, but as ways to put yourself out there as an individual. And it also comes with some negativity. Not only has it made people completely detached, yearning for instant gratification, and overall has society losing social skills, where do we truly find the balance of these two? And I really want to talk about that because it's a very, very important topic. We get very lost in today's society, and there can be a balance and there should be a balance, but we've transitioned into a world dripping of narcissism, false identities, and have truly just disappeared into a filtered reality. And I really want to break those barriers and show you guys how there can be a balance. And there definitely are ways. All of the cyberbullying, all of the over-filtered faces and Instagram handles have to go. And I really want to bring back some normalcy. So I brought on two of the most normal people I know. What an introduction. But I have Megan Jewell and Christian Kirkland. Christian Kirkland here with me. Megan Jewell is one of my very best friends. We've known each other for a few years now. She is an incredible hairstylist, influencer, even though we hate freaking saying that word.
Yes.
Absolutely hate saying that word. Welcome. So excited to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. Social media personality.
That's
social
the new
media
word
to replace, or phrase to replace influencer. That word just gives me the
ick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. And we have Christian. Christian and I have not known each other for that long, but we have become amazing friends. And he is also a new competitor in the WBFF with me, social media influencer, fitness professional, and he works in the industry here in Las Vegas.
Yep.
In the thick of it.
Hi.
Christian and Megan both have some of the most amazing personalities, and they are some of the most lighthearted, relatable people who I know in the social media space. So wanted to bring them on here today to talk about all of that. What's up, you guys?
I'm here for it.
Hey, yeah,
Happy to be here.
Loving it.
So I guess we can just start off this podcast talking about social media in general. What got you guys into the social media platforms? What actually brought you to a space of wanting to be present on social media?
So my husband actually inspired me to start an Instagram. I always had an Instagram since it started back in 2011, I think is when I got on the platform, but it was just for fun. I was taking pictures of my coffee and I was that person using the Nashville filter for every possible photo.
Valencia though.
Valencia or X Pro was a good one too.
X Pro was a good one.
That was a good one.
This is circa
2011.
Oh
was
God.
I feel like 2011.
2021. Yeah, 2010 is when Instagram started.
Dang.
So it's been 11
was
years
I?
now. But I didn't start taking it seriously until about 3 years ago when I wanted to utilize my platform for, to be honest, income.
Yeah.
To make some type of income revenue off of the internet. And as doing so just kind of gave me a lot of liberties with life, and also being able to, quote, influence people in a positive way and just share my fitness journey, my hair journey, super into guns. So sharing that with people, just kind of sharing my life and influencing as much positivity as I possibly could. That's kind of how I got onto it. And my husband was the biggest inspiration for that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's always a good way to go into it too, if you have an actual positive motive to show up on social media. What about you?
I mean, same thing, kind of same start. I have been working in nightlife since 2010. So when Instagram started, it was fun to post parties and when you're out and your friends. And I'm the same. I like to spread positive messages, ways you can make your life better. And a big part of Instagram for me now is I quit drinking almost 4 years ago. And being in nightlife, that's such a hard thing to do because alcohol is just always in your face. And I've used that journey and have it on my Instagram. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're inspirational. Like, how did you do that? That's how I use my Instagram is fitness, sobriety, eating healthy and just being funny, sharing memes, being lighthearted, talking about dumb stuff on my stories. Like today I posted about In-N-Out. Like, come on, like why? You know what I mean? Just not taking life too seriously. You got to have fun.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about that. And what I always admired about you too, is you are so relatable and you're always happy and spreading positive messages. And that is the sector of Instagram that I feel like as influencers, we are responsible for the, generations below us to not look at all of these perfect, just cookie cutter social media handles.
Yeah.
But I know it's hard because being relatable and being honest and being authentic doesn't really come natural to a lot of people. So I always applaud others who can show up as their authentic selves on social media.
I agree.
And I'm sure that both of you have dealt with the ugly side of social media as well. So both of your eyes just go like,
yes.
Where do you think that comes from? Because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it has gotten worse as social media has gotten bigger, which I guess I can understand because as things grow, you're going to encounter more things and more negativity or just more obstacles to kind of bounce around. But I feel like social media bullying is at an all-time high, especially in the younger demographics of people, but it definitely rolls over onto my social media platforms. And I'm in my 30s, so I thought this shit would be over by now, but it's not.
No.
You'd figure.
Figure
As
it'd
we
be
grow
over.
up, you get older, you get more mature, but no.
Not the case.
It gets worse, I feel like.
Yeah. So
I agree.
have you dealt with anything as far as your platform specifically on social media that you've had to kind of fight through or figure out ways to get around?
Yeah. I noticed that as my following grew, I always had positive comments in the beginning because it's just your friends and your family and like people that you know. But as it grows and it grows beyond that, the good is going to come with the bad, And so lately, so I was actually talking to Christian about this before we started, that the timing of this episode was kind of perfect because I've been experiencing a lot of hate on social media that, sometimes I don't even really know how to process or digest. I'm pretty good about not letting things like that bother me because it's really just somebody behind a keyboard who's feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
And we can get into that later. But it's the most hate that I've experienced is on TikTok specifically, not so much Instagram.
TikTok's bad.
TikTok is probably the worst platform for cyberbullying.
Really? I'm not really on TikTok that much.
It's
Like
bad.
It is really bad.
Oh my God.
It's really sad because there's so much good on TikTok and there's a lot of really funny stuff. And that's why I joined the app because it made me laugh. And
It's lighthearted.
exactly. Like I downloaded the app during the pandemic, the massive quarantine. And so I'm just sitting there on my couch, like scrolling through these videos, laughing my ass off, and eventually started an account. But the comments just get bad. It's like people just egg each other on. And what I've noticed is that it's funny, like not to me, but to other people, but it's funny to make fun of people.
It's almost become like, you know how cancel culture became a thing? It's almost like bullying is kind
That's like
of
the new trend.
It's trendy to
Yes.
bully people and to do that. And I always get triggered because it takes me back to my childhood when I was bullied a lot. And it makes me think because I'm like, man, I can handle it now as an adult, but there's still some times where I'll hear something and I'm like, damn.
Yes.
That one got me. Like it really got me. And I'm like, and who is this? And it's like Joshua S7356_7
With no
with 0
followers.
followers and no picture.
But they're following like 4,000 people and they're probably
Yeah.
trolling all those accounts all day long for what? You know what I mean? It's so sad.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it does remind you that these things don't matter. And I mean, I can say that till I'm blue in the face. And that's another reason why I wanted to bring this subject upon the Fearless as Fuck podcast, because if you are going to be on social media and be authentic and show up as your true self and really want to do that, you have to start to understand where this comes from, and it's absolute projection.
Right.
But I wanted to bring it up because we need to do better as people, because I know that there are people our age who are still bullying people just like these 14-year-olds that are on social media. So I think that it was a really heavy topic that should be talked about, because I don't think people realize what a negative effect it's having on the younger generations, as well as all of the filters and highly edited photos and just, you actually, Christian and I were talking about this earlier, and he had mentioned that what I can't even talk about this. Like, what must it be like for a 12-year-old to go on Instagram and find some like person that they look up to and they want to look like, but their body is completely altered and filtered in the most ridiculous ways. They're going to their parents and being like, I need my lips filled, or, you know, X, Y, and Z at really, oh my God, at really young ages. And I'm all for doing what makes you happy, but it's starting to have a really bad trickle down effect. And I'm genuinely concerned about where things are going.
Yeah, for the younger kids. I mean, imagine we're in our 30s, late 20s, whatever it is, and it's still affecting us to a certain degree. Imagine being a preteen.
Yeah.
We already have the same high school bullying in person and that kind of pressure. And then you see this online personality and you're like, oh my God, her waist is so small. Her butt is so big. I want to do that too. Or like, wow, she's so flawless and perfect. I can never attain that. When the whole time it's filters, Facetune, fillers, whatever it is. And I think it's just so damaging for everyone, really, if you don't know who you are or you just get lost in the social media realm.
Yeah, I think that's key what you said too, is if you are at a place where you might not know who you are, which is totally okay. We've all been in those positions before at some point or multiple times in our lives. But if you're not in that good place, you're going to be sucked dry and fall into this.
You just spiral.
You'll spiral for sure. It reminds me, like, what did you guys deal with in high school? Because we didn't have social media like this back then.
Oh, it was all face-to-face, in-person bullying for me.
Yeah.
I was a little gay
Mine
boy
was on
in high school. Girl, I worked at Hollister. I had hair down to my shoulders, sandals, you name it. I don't know how girls dated me. I don't really know, but you know, guys make fun of me all the time. Like that was the big thing I was bullied about all through high school, was that kind of thing. But that's in-person, face-to-face. And now it's even worse because you get both. You get in-person and you get the online commentary, because people are way worse online because they're behind a computer or a phone.
Yeah, there's no consequence.
There's no consequence. Exactly.
They can say whatever they want and get away with it.
Right, and you might not even know who it is. It could be somebody you know.
Yeah, it could be the person sitting right next to you.
So how would you manage that? Because I remember I wasn't very outspoken when I was younger. And this is maybe another reason why I enjoy what I do right now so much, because I have found a way to use my voice in the most positive way. But I stayed quiet a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I definitely did. And I harbored all of that bullying, and I never told anybody, wouldn't tell my mom, wouldn't tell my friends, because I just didn't want to deal with it. I felt silly. I felt stupid.
Yeah.
And of course, I internalized it and had to deal with that later on in life. Did you experience any of those things, or what did you do when you were confronted with these things?
I kind of just would say, like, I mean, because it was a pretty point blank statement, like calling me gay or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not gay. Like, I have a girlfriend, like, you know, whatever. And I would internalize it too, though. I really wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't get confrontational about it. I'll kind of just say my piece and leave. Same thing. Just kind of like, I would talk to my parents about it because I'm so close to them.
Right.
But they really couldn't do much because it was kind of like, what are we going to do? You know, you have to like kind of do this on your own in a certain sense, because it never got so bad to where like I needed them. But it was little daggers, you know what I mean? Just like little daggers here and there. I think it's made me stronger today in a weird sense, but I like to turn things into a positive. That's just my mentality. It's like I take it negative, make it into a positive, but it took me a long time to get to this point, and some people don't get to that kind of point.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's really character building if you look at it in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, because I experienced the same thing. I was not so much in high school, but in grade school, I was terribly bullied. I was like the whitest kid on the playground. I had a massive space in between my teeth. I had freckles. Like, I was just like this pasty white little kid, and I wore my brother's clothes because I looked up to my brother when I was a little kid, and so I wanted to be like him.
That's so cute.
So I would wear his clothes.
So wholesome.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be girly, and I just didn't like it. I mean, I played with Barbies and stuff, but I loved that. Love that for you. But
Love that for you.
Kids are brutal, especially in like junior high.
Yeah.
They're so brutal.
That was the worst.
Yeah, and I just remember coming home every other day crying because of these girls making fun of me. But I feel like alongside of Christian, like that really played a huge part in shaping myself today and being just, I don't want to say like calloused, but just having thicker skin, you know?
And I think it almost makes me more supportive of others because I don't want anyone else to feel the way that I felt from people.
There's
That's how
nothing
am
I hate
too.
more than a bully.
I
It's the
cannot
worst.
stand it. It's such an awful thing.
It honestly makes my blood boil anytime I hear about a situation like that because I just don't want anyone to ever feel that way.
I
And they
completely
shouldn't.
agree.
But I also, the like younger inner child in me is like, stand up for yourself. Like, don't, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But now fast forward into looking at it online. Like I was bullied a lot in person too, but a lot was on like AOL Instant Messenger.
AIM.
Oh
AIM.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was still like online technically. And I just would ignore it.
Or MySpace.
Or MySpace.
What was the app where you could ask people questions anonymously, or the website? Did you ever use that? Okay.
Drawing a
Whisper.
blank.
No?
Was that what it was? Because I came out around that time. It was like 2009, 2010-ish. And people would anonymously leave comments for me. And it was like on a wall. And it was just like the rudest, like half New Year salad tossed, a week, like all these awful homophobic commentary towards me. And like one guy like stood up for me on the thing because you could all see it. But I can't remember what it was called. But
It's
it
like
was,
on the tip of my tongue. I
Yeah,
know
but
what
it
you're
was
talking
like-
about.
It wasn't
Yeah.
what I think it was, but
Yeah.
that it's so horrible how that can be that way. And now I'm seeing so much more of that now. And it's not only online to you, but it's visible for the world to see.
Yeah.
Especially on TikTok. It's out of freaking control.
That's nuts.
It's
and-
humiliating.
So I just wonder how somebody younger handles that kind of thing, because me as an adult, I can let it roll off my shoulders. But like I said, every once in a while it's going to hurt. But as a kid, I just don't know. So I wonder what could be changed for us to do better, to be better examples. And the only thing I can think of is to continue doing what we're doing as influencers. Can we change that word?
I mean, personalities is what it is.
Yeah,
That's-
Instagram personality. You are somebody in our space that people look up to, that someone looks up to, whether you believe it or not. Someone follows you and admires you, wants to be like you, wants to train like you, eat like you, have your job, things like that. So the best thing that you can do is set a good example. And that's why I'm so thankful that I have friends like you guys, because I feel like you are setting those good examples. And hopefully if we just continue doing what we're doing, that will kind of pour out onto other people who are in our industries to kind of further do that. Another big reason why I started this podcast and my coaching was because I wanted to help women who are dealing with the same things. I shouldn't even say just women and men, because this is not a gender thing. This happens all around and people just don't speak up about it. The other thing I really want to talk about social media now that we're out of this is what it's done to our social skills.
Girl. Socially special needs. I don't even know. Like, I can't. Like, it's just so hard to even like go up to a guy sometimes and talk to them in person because you're so reliant on like, I'm gonna just slide in their DM. Like, it's fine.
And then you can respond whenever you want.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It doesn't have to
And
be
it's just like you're like
immediate.
waiting for it to say seen,
Yes.
And it makes people like so much. I don't know. It's being in person conversations. It's just people are so reliant on their phones now.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like texting, all that stuff.
I think one of the biggest things that bothers me is that not everyone has a really good balance of screen time.
Yeah,
I do not.
No, yeah, same.
Screen time and actual FaceTime, not FaceTime like on your phone. Mind you, that's a really cool thing that we get to do that and we can see
Yes.
each other. And
But, like,
we just
literal
had a
FaceTime.
pandemic where we were quarantined and couldn't actually see each other. But now people are becoming more in person again, but you still see people out to dinner having like a one-on-one dinner with somebody and they're both on their phones.
Yeah.
And we're all so guilty of that. So I just try and find the balance. I actually saw this video that Jay Shetty, who I love, posted the other day, and it was just about screen time. And he's like, go on your phone and actually look at your screen time and see what your average was.
I don't even want to.
You don't.
I don't even
Trust
want to.
me, you don't want to do that. And it's even harder because I know that I work partially from my phone. So I understand the concept of it. But it makes me just have like a reality check that when I'm actually not working, I need to work on my consumption versus creation as far as what I do with social media. And I think that's a lot of people, because the people who are consuming things all day long and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling or swiping, it's sickening, and it actually does some psychological damage that you're not even realizing. And you get so wrapped up in it, which goes hand in hand with your loss of social skills. And
I think for me, like I completely agree with you. My job as a hairstylist is to be social on a daily basis, but I've noticed that with social media becoming such a big part of my life, my social like meter at the end of the day is like negative. And
You're empty.
I am so empty by the end of the day, like socially speaking. And I just want to retreat into my little shell and not talk to anybody. But if I do, on my phone.
Yeah.
Instantly. Just when there's like nothing going on, you just like pick up your phone.
Right. Exactly. And it's a weird thing because I used to be so extroverted, especially before the pandemic. I think that played a lot in me becoming more introverted or selectively introverted, I'll say. But it's kind of a hard thing to wrap my mind around because I prefer talking in person to my friends and like people close to me and with work and stuff, but it's almost easier to just talk to people on the phone because like you said, it's just you can check and see if it was read or you can respond whenever you want. And I hate to say
calculated.
that out loud.
Like see if it's even worth the response.
It's calculated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit it, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Except my husband. He's the exception.
Yeah.
I talk to him all day, every day. He's my guy.
He's the one.
Now, the other thing too that I think goes hand in hand with that as well is like dating apps. And I don't even want to say dating apps in general, but just the actual fact that people are so caught up now. Yes, people are so accessible and people are so caught up in instant gratification that they are losing track of reality.
I also feel like that's really devalued people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it because of the accessibility. Like you can swipe. Okay, this is gonna sound silly. I've never used a dating app, so I don't know which way you swipe. But you swipe right on somebody you like, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I sound
left
old.
is no.
Okay, you can swipe left or right on as many people as you want, and it's literally never ending. So that accessibility, that consumption is like, it's just overwhelming.
Well, and think about how quickly it is for people to get addicted to something. Like they can go down and play on a slot machine and press the button, press it over and over and over again.
Yep.
How addicting is it to be able to go on your app? Like, nope. Don't like her hair. Nope.
Yep.
And you're not even really, you just gave that like a fraction of a second to make these decisions. So are you really on these apps like making solid decisions, or are you just trying to satisfy something that's like unfulfilled inside?
I think it's the latter.
No. Yeah. Same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, even getting away from dating apps, but just on social media in general, like you said, it's so accessible just to go find something when you're not feeling so great. You know what I mean? When something's not going well in your life, it's just so easy to go onto an app and consume yourself with other content. Even if you're not going to look for another human, you're just like, you know what? I'm really upset with like what's going on in my environment right now. I'm just going to go absorb someone else's content.
Right.
And that's not really actually fixing the issue within, whatever that issue may be. You're actually just distracting yourself.
Yeah, you're kind of just living vicariously through whoever that influencer or that person is that you're consuming all of their content.
Right. So I think it's very important to do audits. My sister actually brought this up to me. She's very in touch with this within herself, which is so beautiful, but she constantly is doing this because she found herself slipping into a depression a couple different times because of the people she was following. Because like we said, you're bored, you have nothing to do, you go on, you look at your phone, you automatically start getting a rush of content flooded into your feed. And mainly it's people you're following. And if you're following people who are not contributing to you in a positive way, what's instantly being downloaded?
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, my life is not as good as theirs, and I'll never be as good as them.
Right.
And you're always going to feel subpar, to someone else. And you know what's going on in their life, that they're choosing to put that on their Instagram. It's like the same thing. Like we put all the good stuff on our Instagrams. They're probably doing the same as a highlight reel. Exactly. Like it's very rare to find someone who like does it all.
Now, do you guys find it hard to share, like, I don't want to say not your highlight reel, but just your hardships, your reality, and not even your realities, because your realities are actually online.
Yeah.
What you show up as and what you show up as, I deal with that on a regular basis and I love it. And that's, it's real. But when you struggle, do you have a hard time showing up? Like if you were actually going through something hard, would you be able to just go on your social media and talk about it?
I would say no.
I would say
Absolutely
no too.
not.
Like the hard stuff, no way.
Because you're just opening yourself up to judgment.
Yes,
Going back to the
it's so
cyberbullying.
hard.
Criticizing you and like, oh, hot, yeah, see. Like,
Yeah. like to see kind of I don't want to say your downfall, but like your hardships. And
Yeah, because people want to see you fail.
Absolutely.
It sucks to hear that, but you're right. You're not wrong.
No, like they do. They get
the
off to it.
haters are out there. Yes.
And they're always watching.
The way you look to me right now. I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I'll
So
like
extra.
so extra.
God.
But it's
not wrong though.
No, not wrong. There are so many times I'll get on my story and I'll record myself doing something. I'm like, oh, I hate myself.
Yeah.
Every day.
I hate it here. I hate it here. And I realize this is part of my job and I signed up for this. And, you know, it's funny if I will complain about these kind of things to somebody who is not on social media. They're like, oh God, Christina, like such a hard life. And I'm like, it is.
Like you have no idea.
Don't
downplay my struggles.
Like, ouch. Like, yes. And I get what they're saying, but I think people think that I just sit around and talk to my phone all day and do all this stuff. And it hurts me because I dump my heart and soul into my projects. And sometimes it really is hard for me to show up on social media because I do struggle with anxiety. Mm-hmm. I do have stuff that I'm processing. Sometimes when I jump on my social media now too, some of my first thoughts because of things that I've been through, I'm like, who's going to fucking watch this? Mm-hmm. Like, do I really want to know who's watching this from the other side? But then I snap back to reality. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. It doesn't really matter because somebody who is going to sit there and judge you for doing more than them.
Something that they would never do.
Right. Yeah. They would never show up like that. And so I constantly have to remind myself, but I like to also remind people that we struggle with those things too. Even if we don't talk about them all the time, it isn't easy to show up for social media, especially if you're trying to do it in an authentic way. Mm-hmm. What do you think the biggest thing you struggled with is? Like, as far as like showing up on social media, it doesn't seem like you struggle at all. So it's hard to.
I feel like I struggled so much growing up that now a lot of things aren't as big of a deal for me.
Right.
And I can flip it and make it into a positive situation because I did all that struggle in junior high school. Mm-hmm. Finally came out when I was 19 and I was like, I'm living for myself and I want everyone to know that. Like I lived for everyone else then. And this is me now. So when things do happen, I kind of have to just remind myself that I'm so blessed to where I am, that things can be so much worse than they are for other people, that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think there's been anything that you struggle with now that like, besides like TikTok, I know we've talked about the cyberbullying thing because it just gets old after a while and you just get tired of hearing it. And Megan and I were talking about this a couple days ago, and it's all fun and games until you have a video go viral. And then all of the comments start spilling in. Mm-hmm. And Megan and I aren't 15, obviously. And so to some people on this app, I feel like I'm like a mom's age. Yeah. And we'll start getting comments. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so mean. Yeah, and then at first it's funny. And then it's like, okay, we get all right. It. Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something that I wouldn't say we struggle with, but I think that her and I really relate to because it's so annoying because at first we're like, yes, a video went viral. We got some traction and then in comes all the crap. You know what I mean?
The bad comes with the good. I think for me, the only thing that I've really struggled with, and this is speaking recently, I don't usually post my relationship on social media because I like to keep that private, and that's not something that I want to open up to judgment from other people that
I've learned the hard way.
That I don't value. Yes, it's hard, and because that's one of the most important, if not the most important thing in your life. For me, that is the most important thing in my life. So to open myself up and my husband to that type of judgment is a little scary, and people can say whatever they want about me, whatever, but the second you start talking about my family or my man or my friends, I'm like a mama lion that wants to like attack. Yeah. But that was a little tricky for me. And so I was like, you know what? Like, no, I want to bring him onto my platform and show people my marriage and my husband and how awesome he is. And I started posting videos of him and I on TikTok, and some of them were really funny and they got really good traction. But like you said, once a video goes viral and starts getting traction, all of the comments start spilling in. And my husband's Black, so I'm not unaware of racism, especially when it comes to interracial couples. But it is still so shocking to me how brazen people can be and how malicious people can be when it comes to interracial couples. Like the racist comments left on TikTok, I was shocked.
Wow. I was shocked too.
The things that people were saying, it just broke my heart because I'm like, you don't even know me. You don't know my husband. And I couldn't believe that somebody would take the time out of their day to say something like that. But at the end of the day, they're exposing themselves as racist. You put that on the internet for people to see that you're a racist person. Yeah. And so that was my response. Like, tell me you're racist without actually telling me you're racist type of
easy,
easy.
And so for Wayne is like, I mean, again, he's had that type of struggle his entire life. So I'm sure for him, I hate to say that he's probably used to it. For me, it's still really hard to wrap my mind around it. But again, you can't put too much value or credibility in what people say because these people are always randoms that don't have photos, that don't have followers, that are so quick to say shitty things to thousands of people. And so I think going back to what you were saying, trying to show up, that was my struggle, but now is trying to just not put any type of value into negative comments like that and just be myself and show my relationship and my life on social media unapologetically.
As you should.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty and the raw realness of that. And what's so beautiful about those kinds of people that can do that, because you're fighting the fear, which is really hard. It's really hard, but you still go through it and you still do it and you just manage it and you start to understand where all of this projection is coming from and that it's not about you.
Yep. It has nothing to do with me or
1,000%.
Yeah, but it's really hard. I know my ex and I were very public on social media and it ate me alive sometimes.
I was thinking about you when I started getting some of these negative comments because I know that you were super public with your ex on social media, and my first thought was, man, I wonder how Christina handled this.
Oh my God. Like, I relate back to what you said, Christian, about how but you were speaking from when you were younger till now and how you just dealt with it then, so you know how to deal with it now. I kind of view how I am now as where I was when I first met him and I first jumped on social media, because I didn't have a presence on social media back then. I was kind of thrown in and I went into it very genuinely. That was my goal from day one. But, people always had something to say. And I mean, some of the messages I got, I'll never forget them. And because in the very beginning, it really hurt me. I remember I had somebody message me and tell me that they hope my first baby dies, or that I have like a miscarriage, and that my ex overdoses. That's what they said to me in this message. And I was just mortified. Of course, I don't know who this came from.
Of course.
And at the time, I went to my ex and I was like, can you fucking believe this shit? And I was livid. I was absolutely livid. It triggered me so bad. It brought me right back to when I was younger, or, people were picking apart my body. People always like to tell me that I don't have an ass and that I whatever, stuff about my body because I'm putting my body on social media. And back then it used to bug me so bad. And I think it bugged me because it triggered the unhealed part of me back then. Now I could give two fucks. If you really leave a comment, whatever, I could care less. But I always remembered it in the very beginning, because he looked at me and he told me, he's like, Christina, you have to let these things go. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't let it go. And he would have to tell me over and over and over again, you just have to let it go. Just block and delete, block and delete. And there were just sometimes I couldn't do it and I would want to fire back. And every single time I'd fire back, it was like, perfect, got you to respond kind of comments. And then it infuriated me even more. So
right, you gave them exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I had to kind of go through that to learn. Absolutely. And I think anybody has to experience those things. And that's why I like to speak of it now, because people don't really know. And you having an interracial relationship, and I'm sure that you had some stuff happen to you too with the board, what you were talking about, people making stupid comments about you coming out.
Oh yeah. I mean, and even now, I've been in the gym since I was 14. I don't drink. I count my macros for the last year. People still constantly insinuate that I'm on steroids, that I'm doing extra stuff. I'm always telling them no, and I'm just I don't know what to do, because there'll always be someone to be like, oh, you're doing something extra. You know what I mean? That's just not hard work.
That can't be organic.
That can't be organic.
Natural.
There's no way. And
Can I just tell you it is real quick? Christian looks like a chiseled Ken doll.
But it's you put so much work into it, and it just takes 1 second for someone to just try to bring you down to their level. And it's no, you don't see all the work I put in, which is why the last year I'm always posting on Instagram, like, here's me at the gym after working 10 hours. Here's me with my food. My little sobriety clock, I'll post it every like couple of months just to remind people, like, you guys, it just takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah, you work your ass off too.
Congratulations on 4 years sober, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll be 4 years in July.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah, but people just don't want to put in the work, so they're like, I'm just gonna tear them down.
It's projection.
You know? It's projection, always.
So what would you, like, if you had to explain projection to somebody who didn't know what projection meant, how would you explain it?
I mean, it's something that maybe you want but can't attain, or it's like one of my close friends that I've known for like 6 years will drop comments like that to me. And I'm like, oh,
really?
Yeah. Oh, it's because you don't want to put in the work, because they tried to put it on a meal plan recently. They didn't do any of it. They didn't put any work into it. And I'm like, see, it's not easy. Like, I see him, he'd be like, is that really all just your eating? I'm like, you know me.
Comments.
Like, I'm so sure. You know what I mean? But I think it's what people either want and can't attain, or it's something that they're just insecure about.
Right.
And so they want to poke at you. And they see that you're confident in yourself, or like whatever it is, you know? But it takes all of us a lot of time to get to that kind of point in life.
Right. And I bring that up because I want anyone who's listening who might be experiencing this to understand truly what projection is. Because if you're not in a space to understand what that is, you're going to feel beaten down.
Yeah.
And if you are potentially an insecure person, you're going to take things very, very personally.
Very personally. Which
could have a really negative effect on your progress in any aspect.
Yeah.
What would be some advice you guys could give to somebody who was experiencing this on how to kind of like hold space for themselves and put boundaries up with people who are projecting on them, or who are not, I don't even want to say directly bullying, but like kind of indirectly bullying, like kind of how you were just explaining.
Yeah, like my friend is I just reiterate, like, yeah, that I work hard. This is why I look like this, because I work hard and I put in the time. You would look the same if you did the same thing. And I reinforce that, like with anything, you know, you just got to be you and be genuine and show that you care for people. You almost like you got to kill them with kindness. You know what I mean? Like, don't give in to that negative energy, flip it on them.
Yeah.
You know, and don't make them feel like stupid, but make them like understand that there's a way you can get to that point. This is not the way to do it.
Right.
You know, so it's like, say what you want. I'm going to support you in any way I can.
Right.
And that's it.
Megan, when you were transitioning into fitness, because I know when we first met, I always love thinking back to this, because when you and I worked in the salon together, I would probably say this was like 3 years ago or so. Yeah. I remember you telling me one day, like, I'm going to jump on social media. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, you were there from the beginning.
Like, do it. Like, yes, please do it. I would love to like just have somebody else who is trying to experience this with me. And back then you were just kind of, I forget if you had actually been super active in the gym, but I remember watching this whole journey unfold and you grow so much. Now, did you have anybody in your life or family, friends, I don't want to say significant other because he's the one that helped you with it, but did you have anybody that was kind of giving you pushback about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She was
me back.
shaking her head before I finished the sentence.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of shocking. Like, some of my closest friends at the time, the comment that I would always get, oh, just make sure you don't get too big. Just don't get too muscular. Just don't get to this. Don't get to that. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry that I may not fit in your version of what you think is attractive or healthy or fit, but like, fuck off. Like, for real. I don't care, because what's good for me may not be good for you. And so that was kind of always the mentality that I had. And my husband has really helped kind of promote that as well, because we're both very much like, we don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And so you can say whatever you want, but I'm still going to do me, and he's going to do him, and there's nothing that's going to change that. And kind of touching on what you guys were talking about earlier, like giving advice to somebody who's listening who may need help in that area is just like, focus on you and don't take anything personally. Those are my two biggest things, because that's what I needed to learn the hard way when I started my social media journey and my fitness journey, because I started social media and fitness kind of like one and the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, I never competed or anything, but I just wanted to get more serious about it, because I've always worked out, but not to the level that I was when we started at the salon,
right?
When I had just started social media. But yeah, you're always going to get pushback for whatever you do. It's like that saying, you could be the juiciest peach in the world and there's still going to be some motherfucker out there who doesn't like peaches.
Yes.
I love peaches. I love peaches too.
I dealt with that a lot when I started competing too. I got those same comments like, well, you don't want to look like that, do you? And I was like, what?
Or people thinking that you're going to like look manly if you have muscles. I will never understand that.
No, I mean, same.
But I'll actually never forget the day that I actually had a photo out of someone who I did want to look like she was actual inspo to me. And someone came around and was kind of put themselves into the conversation. And out of nowhere was like, oh my gosh, you would never want to look like that. And I was literally about to show like my friend, can you believe how amazing this girl looks? And I didn't even know what to
slide your phone into
I was like, oh my, okay. Oh my God. And it just made me think, because there is not one look for everybody. Just like you were saying, like the way I want to look might not be the way you want to look or the next person, but that should be okay. And you shouldn't let someone shame you for that or shame you for wanting to be healthy. I have a lot of clients who have friends and family who actually just shame them for strictly getting on a meal plan. And
so wild.
It's baffling to me. And I'm like, okay, so if you were going to go like eat 3 pizzas and like down a thing of cupcakes, would they tell you like, oh no, you shouldn't do that? They'd probably be like, oh, well, we'll have some with you. You know what I mean?
That would be okay.
That was I'd be there.
It sounds like a Friday night.
I don't know if that was the best example, but what I'm trying to say is like, they're very quick when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? This person's trying to better their life and be happy and healthier and make healthier decisions. And because they've chosen to jump on a fitness plan, you're like, oh my gosh, you're measuring your food. Like, don't give them shit. Like, let them live their life. Let them be healthy. Don't harass them about it. You know what I mean?
That did happen a lot to me. Like when I first quit drinking, I got a lot of eye rolls.
I get that still.
Pushback all the time. They're
especially
just like,
being in your industry.
They're like, oh, I'm so sure, Christian. I'm like, oh, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. And it just got like,
thanks for the support.
Longer and longer and longer. And those people now are like, you're such an inspiration. I was like, really?
Am I?
Because you hated me and on me when I started this journey to be healthier. And like the thing with the meal plan, like I've seen it with myself and other people that get on the same thing. It's like, they're like, just eat the pizza. Well, I don't want to. Like, I'm doing this. We'll just eat it. Or they'll do it in front of you on purpose. Like, I have a friend whose boyfriend does that to her. Like when
I hate that.
Yeah, when she's trying to get healthy and like trying to prep for something or try to look good, he will intentionally bring home pizza and burgers and eat it right in front of her. One time we're eating tilapia and asparagus at their house, and he was eating a full pizza and a burger. But I was like, look how he looks right now. You don't want to look like that. His little belly was sticking out and everything and all this stuff. And I was like, this might not taste as good, but it feels way better.
And you're going to look way better.
Which to me, it's way more worth it, I think.
Well, there's also balance too. And that's the whole point of becoming into a place where you can balance a healthy lifestyle, because then you can actually enjoy things like that. And that's what I don't think people understand is these people will jump on plans. I had a few clients that dealt with this and like, oh my gosh, my family's just giving me so much shit. And I'm like, you know what? That's not cool. You have to actually set those boundaries. And that's part of what my coaching is, and trying to understand how to implement these lifestyles in. And the only way I could relate to that was with competing. And the people who don't compete don't understand. And it would actually bother me. And they would think that they're joking, being like, just have a bite. It won't hurt your progress. And I'm like, I know a bite won't hurt my progress, but do you understand I'm trying to reach a goal right now, and I'm trying to practice discipline, and that does not help me.
Like they want to see you do better or be better, but just not better than them. That's the vibe that I get from those people.
It's tricky. Yeah.
It's like they want to see people thrive as long as they're thriving.
Yeah. And as long as you don't thrive beyond them.
Yeah, it's really tricky. But I do think that those things are really helpful when people hear them, that they're not going through those things alone, and that it does, there is a difficult side to starting a new lifestyle change, and you have to really be confident in why you're doing it and find your why. And that just goes back to what you were saying, like what you are doing is most important, and you just have to make sure you're in alignment with that all of the time.
And just staying focused.
Yeah.
Stay focused on your shit.
Right. Yeah. Right. So do you guys have any goals for your social media platforms? Like, what do you actually want to do with this now? Like, where do you see it going for yourself as far as like making a positive impact, where your businesses are going, what you plan on doing from here on out?
I would say for me, one of my biggest goals would be to probably get a sponsorship from some type of firearm company. That'd be like number one for me because I'm super into guns. So as my husband, we're starting a company together as well for training.
Which sounds so awesome.
I
I'm
love that.
so excited for this.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. I'm super excited for it too. It's been in the works for a while and we want it to be perfect. So we want to kind of launch it and begin when we have everything, like all of our ducks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so to take my entire social media platform and kind of go in that direction. Because I feel like I don't see a ton of girls in the firearm industry.
I was just going to
like
say
none.
that
Yeah.
would be so cool because it's not only empowering for a female to know self-defense, but to be taught from another female.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's what we definitely want to do, Wayne and I. So that would be like a big goal for me in the future. I'm not sure how or when, but I'm manifesting it and
Put it
just
out there.
enjoy the
You got
journey
to. We will
until
too.
then.
Yeah,
You know?
it's-
Appreciate you.
we'll put it out there.
Yeah.
And I just recently, I don't want to say just recently, but Christian and I started prep for WBFF Worlds, and it's going to be your first competition.
I know.
So exciting.
And
know.
I'm so excited for you. So excited. You actually really inspired me because I was slacking a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know you remember this conversation. We called my coach, and my coach called me out right in front of Christian. But it's been so nice to have somebody to prep with.
Yeah.
How do you feel about kind of showing people your journey into this event, not only sober, but with your crazy, crazy schedule and
Yeah.
handling all of it like a boss?
I know that's gonna be the hardest thing. I mean, I have such a passion for fitness and like I enjoy it. Like people always were like, why don't you compete? And I was like, I don't know. Like I just don't want to do it because it might suck the fun out of fitness for me when
Yeah.
it becomes like a real thing. You know what I mean? Or I always heard like NPC or whatever. It's like steroids and you need this, and you need to take this. And I just always geared away from it. So when I talked to Nate, I was like, wait, I can do this all natural? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, fucking sign me up. Like, I want
Shout
to
out
do
to
this.
Nate.
Because
Right
I
up
had a
your
friend
alley.
who was a coach too. And she was like, you already live that lifestyle. Reap the benefits from it. Like, why not? Like, you're not
Yeah,
giving
you already work
anything
out.
up.
He already
count your
looks like he's
macros.
ready to
You
walk
already
on a
look
stage.
great.
You know what I mean? So like for me,
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay. And then I saw WBFF and I was like, yo, there's a suit portion. It's being all cute on stage. Like it's like charisma and then like natural physique. I'm all about it. It's going to be really hard because I do work a day club and I work a nightclub. So my hours are always like adjusting. So
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And I know like once I start like cutting and getting closer to the show and you're depleting and stuff. So it's going to be a new challenge for me, but I'm so excited to tackle it. And I have so much support with like all my friends now. Like everyone wants to come and I just like feel so happy about this. Like no one's doubted me yet. So I'm just excited to see what's happening. And like you were saying, you're like it's like a production.
Yeah.
So like
Same.
get ready. Like, I'm watching videos and I'm like, now I'm getting kind of nervous. And I start with a posing coach soon too. So we'll see. I mean, and I'm obviously posting all that on my social media, trying to show people that you can do whatever you want if you set your mind to it, and you don't have to do it any other person's way. You can do it your way.
Exactly.
Like going
your
back to
way.
what you said, it's like worry about yourself and do it your way. What works best for you
Right.
and how you'll be successful. Don't look at anybody else.
Right. And if you are doing it that way, you're doing it for the wrong reasons anyway. If you're going into it constantly comparing yourself to everybody else, why are you doing it to begin with? It's about you.
Yeah.
Great. If you win, cherry on the cake. You know what I mean? Easier said than done. It always sucks to lose. I'm not going to lie. But if you can really go into those things knowing you're doing it for the right reasons and to better yourself each and every time, there's no way you won't do well.
No.
There's no way.
I just want to do it for the experience mainly and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
And if that's why I started so early, because I wanted it to be like a slow prep, enjoy the process, not crash, do anything, see how it goes. And then hopefully I really enjoy it and I'll just do it all next year.
Yeah.
For the next season. You know what I mean? So I'm excited.
Yeah, I
excited
can't
for you.
wait. I'm really excited to close out this show with some positivity and some positive notes because you guys are such influential and confident people. Do you guys have anything else to add? Maybe just on some confidence tips, some things that the viewers can take away, listeners can take away,
All the above.
all of it.
I would just reiterate, just staying focused on you, just always unapologetically being yourself. I know that may sound cliche at this point, but I feel like that's so essential to just living a peaceful life, because the second you stop caring about what people think and you start focusing on what's good for you, first and foremost, I swear it is liberating. It is
You'll
so
thrive.
peaceful. Mm-hmm.
I mean, those people always fall to the wayside.
Yep.
If they're not going to support you or love you 100%, they'll just go away. And then the ones that matter will stay.
Yes.
And I think the last year or two, that's come to fruition for me. But like all my friends, like I've lost a couple of friends the last couple of years because they just weren't on the same track as me. And that's totally
falls off.
fine.
You just weren't
That's
growing together.
Exactly. But the ones I have now, I could just feel it. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, do what makes you happy as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you want.
Right.
If it seems so crazy and out of this world, go for it.
Yes.
What's the worst that can happen? Like you fail, you try again, So just do you.
Right.
And set a goal and just hit it.
And just to tack onto that too, you have to remember that the people who you need in your corner will stay.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who you need to fall off, they will fall off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you will just attract more like-minded people who will be there to support you and will always be there for you. And that's what matters at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been such a
Yes.
pleasure to have you guys. I look forward to having you both back on the podcast. And thank you guys so much for listening to the Fearless as Fuck podcast. It's been so nice to have video if you guys are actually watching this on YouTube or any of the other platforms. This is a subject matter that I find near and dear to my heart and so very important. And I hope to continue bringing a lot of these kinds of topics to you guys here on out. So thank you again. Make sure to follow us all on Instagram. It'll be at the FearlessAF Podcast, at Christina Lauren, at Christian Mingle, at Megan Jewell. We will list them in the show notes. And until next time, stay fearless. We'll see you guys soon. Stay fearless. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Fearless as Fuck podcast. It is my intention to continue to bring you uplifting, empowering, and overall inspiring interviews to help you continue to thrive and truly understand how to step into your power just like I did. I am so honored you have taken the time to listen, and I'd love to connect with each and every one of you. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Christina.Lauren and at the FearlessAF Podcast. And on YouTube, you can search Christina Lauren, The Fearless Collective. Don't forget to subscribe and share and leave a review. I would love to know what you guys think of the podcast and also some thoughts on topics you would like me to cover and guests you would like to see on the Fearless as Fuck podcast. I'll see you next time.